Today we explore the vast remains of a slate quarry dating from the early 19th century with incredible views over the North Wales valleys on our trip across the country's abandoned industries.
We're here in Dinorwic, or Dinorwig, which is a local slate mine, and it's abandoned now, but there's some viewpoints and stuff that the public can go to, but there's also a lot of ruined buildings and bits off the beaten track. Now, I first saw about this place, I think I was probably about 17, you know, when I first sort of wanted to go a little bit further afield with the exploring, but I thought it's a long way, I don't know how I'm going to do it till I get at least a job and a car. But now we've actually managed it. So yeah, it's an exciting one. We're going to finally check it out and hopefully it's very interesting. So let's go.
The Dinorwig quarry began life in 1787, but it didn't boom until railways were added in the early Victorian era. The quarry pits began separately but were gradually linked, and the main inclines visible today haven't changed much in over a century. About a third of the workforce became reduced by 1930, and the quarry finally closed in 1969.
So we've made it to the first building of the quarry. It's quite interesting. There's definitely some stuff of interest in there. I reckon it's worth a look. Here we go, so this is inside that first large building, and I guess this was all put here in, you know, in the Industrial Revolution when slate mining was popular in these areas. Obviously since then, in the early 20th century, it's declined as other materials have become popular.
Less demand for Welsh slate caused the industry to decline, and the old pits here at Dinorwig became tougher and more dangerous to gather good materials from given their age. Today it stands as a kind of industrial ghost town where the workers may not have slept, but where they certainly spent much of their lives.
So here we've got a little bit of a ruined building, and then up there, that is a big old ramp going up into the hillside, and I think we're going to try that shortly.
It can be speculated that some of the buildings here collapsed or were partially demolished after closure. The result is a slate moonscape where everything blends into one.
The scale of it is massive. There's a couple of mine entrances and tunnels dotted around, all sorts like that. Wow, look at this. Amazing, absolutely amazing. That is an awesome view, that. So this is the side of that huge ramp, and look at all the layers of slate that have been built up. Some sort of tunnel, apparently, Jay reckons. Let's go and take a peek. Just look at these huge slate piles of all that slate that's probably been chucked down there. Look in here. Interesting. So there was nothing in the tunnel. It was practically a dead end. But we found this little outdoor sort of toilet type building of some sort. And there's a drain underneath this building going out into the hillside. We're going to keep on walking, see what more we can discover.
One of the greatest challenges facing the quarry was transporting slate uphill and downhill to road level.
So this slope here is where they would have winched the slate up and down the mountain, and you can see the winch up there in the distance.
and they would have taken it back down to ground level, I guess, to transport away from the site or to cut or anything like that. There's a path leading up. So yeah, we've got the winch up there on top of the mountain, and at the base of it, at the foot, as Tom's just explained, we've got the part of the winch itself that must have just detached by these big wires and came crashing all the way down to the bottom. Look at that, pretty cool. There we go. As we pressed on up the mountain, the already vast views only became more dramatic. Some little passageways here. Not much going on with that. Looks very unstable. The weight of that above is crazy. But there's some little rails going through, so there would have been some sort of train track. And we seem to have found some kind of mine here. So we're going to go and see if we can do some more mine exploration. Check out an adit, as they call it. Mine shafts go downwards, mine adits go inwards. It's waterlogged as always. Not more water. Spent ages covering our feet up. Look at this though. Very interesting again. We've got a balance from stone to stone without slipping and dropping the expensive camera kit. We're out of the watery section of the mine shaft now. Hopefully no slate falls on my head. Don't think my beanie hat's going to do much about that. But very interesting little shaft, and it's dead straight as well. This isn't, I don't know if this is a mine shaft or just a shaft cut to transport stuff, materials from one side to the other. And look at what it opens up into. Pretty cool, very cool indeed.
I'm going to stand back.
Is it a very sheer drop?
It's an overhang.
Oh god. Yeah, there could be a few of those in this adventure.
I mean, I can't see the bottom. All I noticed is that there's a bit jutting out, which is absolutely an overhang. It is not quite vertical. It is going back in on it.
Oh god. So yeah, we've got a ridiculous overhang that we're on, as Tom said. Let's take a look. Probably can't even see the bottom. That's how much of an overhang it is. Perhaps this is the area that the material got excavated from. What do you reckon? It's like a big circular, perhaps they sort of
yes.
chiselled away at it from in here.
Yeah, I don't know if that was originally a valley or a depression or something in this bit, but...
Look at that, into the mine. Wow, look at this. It's not been the safest of adventures, this whole Wales trip, but it's definitely been a good one. Look how far down we go. Crazy. Look at these. Absolute legends. They're climbing that. Oh look, that's crazy. We thought we were alone here, but obviously not. That must take some ridiculous skill. People climb for fun now, but workers originally would have swung from the rocks, tied only by ropes as slate boulders were collapsed from above them. A few casualties occurred this way. So we've got another adit we're going to have a look at. Another shaft. We've got a rail going into this one, an old railway. So I guess on here they would have had the mine carts going along basically to transport the material in and out of the mine. Let's carry on into the darkness. Definitely do need a torch really. Pretty cool indeed. Gonna get a couple of photographs as I do.
But we can try.
Whoa. Once again an extremely sheer
Quarry
drop.
Wait, look at those steps. I'm gonna try those.
Oh.
Again, we did the quarry yesterday. You know, Guy Barton was nothing. This should be fine. This should be a challenge.
We've just come out of the tunnel, the railway tunnel, and we're greeted by this view on the other side. Got this sort of blue lake from the slate. It's like a bright blue colour. What a stunning place, man. This is one of the most sort of epic proportioned, peaceful places that I've been to. You know, it's not sort of a hardcore abandonment per se, but it's almost like an industrial ghost town or something. And it's just very eerie, the way everything's the colour of the slate, then you've got little ruins jotted amongst it. And to think people here would have been working here all the time. This would have been not a tourist attraction to many, but actually a place of grueling, hard work in days before, you know, workers' rights and that kind of thing. And no doubt many people, you know, befell pretty bad fates at places like this. Can't imagine the health and safety was the best. So we might moan about health and safety these days, especially when it comes to exploring and how sort of over the top it can be. But I'm glad it's there because it's the only thing stopping people from being made to work in pretty abysmal conditions as they did over 100 years ago.
Fuck no,
Yeah.
me.
I mean, it's okay. Who cares about voltage? It's the amp series for it.
Thanks for that, Tom.
Especially when in conjunction with the high voltage.
Ampage, I'm just going to take them all.
So we're running down here, going up this ramp, but this has been recently reused for a hydroelectric plant. So this here has actually got like live voltage cables going through. So obviously we're not going to be getting too near touching that. There we've got a sign. We've got an abandoned building there. We only reached some of the structures left by the workers' operations at the quarry. Other structures on the other side still contain everything from old boots to rusting sawing machinery. These details are still left in place since closure out of respect, and parts of the quarry have become kind of an informal tribute. we're not far from the top of this hill now, and we've got these sort of buildings left with their roofs still on. Just saw a fireplace back there. Look in here, people have camped in here, I think. It's probably the only shelter in this incredibly windy spot for ages. There's another fireplace. Here's a building we can go in. Another one. Wow. Cool. Look at what the roof's held up by. Couple of logs. All that slate. Wouldn't want that to come down on me. Let's not disturb it. Just look at this bench. Very cool. Whilst we didn't reach the other side of the quarry, we did get a great view of it. These buildings still contain original furnishings and equipment. The neighbouring village of Glanberis still bears its slate rooftops, owing to the quarry visible today. I've got the torch on. Let's take a look in here. It's a fairly short tunnel, worth seeing, but the view up here is probably the more impressive thing. It's quite a big tunnel, but not particularly long. Wow. Huge. The scale of everything here is just ridiculous. Look. Ooh. All those little huts on the other side, dotted throughout the whole hillside. Mad. Just down there, the little tiny holes, and those are the ones we were looking out into this large area earlier where the climbers were coming up. But now we're on top of that, I guess, yeah. Yeah, there's tons and tons of huts throughout this whole place, and then look at that. The blending of natural geology and man-made inclines created by the quarry is a lot prettier than one might expect from an industrial wasteland. Look at this. Still got some metal supports and bits in here. This must be part of the top of the pulley system. As the altitude got higher and the weather colder, we finally neared the top of the ramp. So we finally made it to the top of the pulley system. It's been a long climb. The mountain actually goes a lot further up, but that's a long, long way to get to the top, and there doesn't look to be many structures from the quarry there. So I think we're going to call it a day at this, and we've gone a long way. Got old insulators on the ground. And this is the top of the winch for the Slate. As we became more distant from civilization, the environment became more desolate. On top of the world up here. Behind these ruins are human stories of hardship and tragedy, but also aspiration and community. What is now an isolated edge of the earth once provided the materials that made our very homes across Britain, but now it produces the electricity that powers them at the power station. Yes, an absolutely amazing place. The view is incredible. It's very peaceful, very isolated, a little bit cold. I wouldn't want to do it in the winter. I've seen someone's photographs that actually did this place in the snow, which is crazy considering how slippery the Slate can get. But I'm glad we did it. This is a place I've been wanting to see for absolute years. For some reason I just came across it years ago when I first got into exploring, and I finally fulfilled the dream. Ticked it off the bucket list, and it didn't disappoint. It's an excellent place. Dinorwic, should I say. Incredible piece of industrial history, and a stunning bit of scenery, which, you know, you also appreciate the natural beauty of the area too. After being captivated for years by pictures of this abandoned landscape, I had finally seen it in person. Unlike other post-industrial land, the geology at Dinorwig has blended its ruins back into the natural scenery. As the fog closed in, it was time for us to return to base and prepare for our next mega industrial exploration.